Greetings to my wonderful ENC2210 students. Uh, we have finished. Sorry, I have things all over my computer. It's driving me crazy. We have finished the technical pieces, and this week we are moving on to the formal analytical report, which of course is kind of the biggest assignment for the course. And it is related or can be related to the documents that you have finished for those technical pieces. I've been kind of talking all along about how if you play your cards right, some or all of the things that you've already made can become part of your formal analytical report. So let's take a look at that assignment and what we need to be working on next. As usual, I just want to orient ourselves on the syllabus. So if we take a look at where we are, we're in week 9. And of course, this is where we're getting more into writing reports and proposals, crafting professional presentations. We're going to be doing some reading in the text, and of course, some additional materials in Canvas, including the most important piece, which is the assignment guide for the formal analytical report. So this week you will have a discussion board due about presentations, and you're going to be submitting your topic proposals for the formal analytical reports. So let's move to the student view and go into the module. So you can see where everything is located and all that good stuff. We are in week 9, so let's make these little. All right, so we're starting the formal analytical report, and you will have, of course, the textbook with some information. All of it is in chapter 4. I think this might actually finish up chapter 4 for us. Of course, it's interesting how the people that wrote that kind of lumped everything in chapter 4, if you want to get technical. But for me, the most important piece of reading this week is this. This is our guide to the formal analytical report and presentation. So this is my information, and it's got some links in here, including a direct link to the actual assignment. So I'm going to go over that, even though it's not due yet. What is a formal analytical report? Typically, they're pretty lengthy. They do have visuals, so that, of course, helps with the length. And there's research involved. So you'll probably not only have visuals, but maybe some research information that is presented in table form or whatever as well, and presents potential solutions to a problem. This would typically be on a challenge that's related to work, but as usual, as we've been doing for our purposes, if you want to focus more on what you are planning to study here at Lake Sumter and beyond, since that's probably your more immediate focus, that's fine. You can even do it on a hobby or an interest if you want to get technical. So our audience and purpose, normally you're going to be aiming a report like this at people with the power to implement the solutions proposed. So we're talking administrators, high-level management in a company, maybe even government officials. For our purposes, of course, the audience is probably going to be fictional, but the more realistic you can envision an audience and a situation, the better it's going to make your formal analytical report. The clearer it's going to probably be and the more realistic it's going to be. In terms of purpose, it can be primarily informative or primarily persuasive, but of course, there's probably going to be elements of both. When you're discussing a problem or an issue, your research is informational. And then when you get into possible solutions or actions, of course, that involves a persuasive element. Typically, analytical problems are kind of in one of these categories. Is it a causal analysis? Are we looking for why something has happened? Is it a comparative analysis? Is maybe there's a couple of different solutions, maybe two or three, and we're looking at this is better for our needs than this. One of the ideas that I can think of with this is a real life problem that one of my friends is doing, looking at learning management systems to use for online education. He works with a nonprofit that is building a certification process. And so he is looking right now at things like Canvas or Moodle or other structures, learning management systems. And so a formal analytical report there might be comparing two or three potential platforms that you might want to use. A feasibility analysis: is it a good idea, and is it an affordable idea? Because that, of course, is part of feasibility. And then, of course, it could be some combination with all of those, sort of depending on what works out for you. Elements of an effective analysis include, of course, a clear definition of the purpose or the problem, adequate data, but not going cuckoo crazy, accurate and balanced data, making sure that you are finding good, solid information that is not presented in a biased way, things that have been fully interpreted by experts, written from an unbiased perspective, even though you're going to advocate for one or the other maybe potential solution, there still needs to be some objectivity there. Uses appropriate and engaging visuals. Of course, we've been kind of working on that throughout the semester, and then reaches valid conclusions and gives good recommendations. A sample outline, you can look here, things like the introduction, the collected data, and the conclusion. Those are kind of your big pieces. But the introduction and the collected data will be where most of the information is collected. You are going to use APA style, so you will have a cover page and a references list. You also need to have at least 3 visuals with proper captioning and citation. And so there is no specific length, but it's a major report, so it definitely needs to be longer than a couple of pages. The length is going to vary by the topic and, of course, how many visuals and things like that you have. I'm not going to click on these right now, but there are some links in the assignment that have some ideas for topics. So feel free to use those and to explore those before choosing a topic. Most of this we just went over. You can see it's literally the same, but I wanted you to see that this does link to where you'll turn it in as well. And then we have the different steps that we're taking and the timeline. So this week in week 9, you're going to turn in a topic proposal. In week 11, you're going to turn in your introduction, not necessarily the full one that had like A through F, but like an introductory paragraph kind of thing, an outline and an initial bibliography. In week 12, though, you are going to have your full draft. So, do with that information what you will. And then week 13, you're going to turn in the PowerPoint. And then in week 14, basically the end of the class, you're going to give me the final draft of your FAR and the video of the presentation. So you will have my feedback in week 12 to put into the final version. And some feedback probably fairly quickly for the PowerPoint, but usually those are fine. It's just a matter of going ahead and doing the video. You've got some resources here that are not provided by me, that are provided by me, chosen by me, but not recorded by me. So take a look at those this week. Make sure that you take a good look at those. Like I said, this is where kind of everything lives that you need to know about this particular assignment. Now, again, with this module, you've got two things to talk about. One is a discussion board, which is the presenting information. And yeah, So you answer the questions, fairly straightforward. And then the next one is the topic proposal. Now, this is submitted in quiz format. So there are 4 separate questions. It is not timed, but because it's a quiz, you can only submit it once. So just make sure that you don't submit it until you're ready to submit. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the questions so you can prepare them in advance. The first question is to write a well-developed paragraph sharing your educational and professional interests. Remember, if you're planning to transfer for a bachelor's and perhaps even go to graduate school, you might want to focus on your field of study, what it will take to accomplish those goals, etc. Likewise, if you have a very clear picture of what you plan to do for work career, of course, you can focus more on that. Question number 2 talks about the audience. So for this question, share your thoughts about the potential audience or audiences for this particular report. Is it for other students? Is it professionals in the field? Is it aimed at potential employers, maybe to show your knowledge of a field, et cetera, et cetera? Another paragraph, outline the topic you are thinking of using. What will your thesis be? What are some potential sections that you know you'll want to cover? How can you use these, the technical documents that you've already written? And of course, what role will visuals play? Now, this one is a little bit more intense, and you're going to refine this exact information for the next assignment for related to this. So keep these, make sure you keep an access list to this. APA citations for 10 potential sources. You're not going to have it like honed in too far yet. So these may still be a little bit general, whereas the next initial bibliography or working bibliography is going to be a little bit more focused. So I know that when you copy and paste APA citations into here, you will not be able to have the plain double spacing with the hanging indent and all that. So don't worry about that, but you do want to have italics where they need to be. You want the citations to be as complete as you can. They just probably the formatting will not stick. All right. So that's what's due this week. And that's about it. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys come up with. I really enjoy these bigger projects, especially because people end up going in all kinds of different directions, which is kind of fun for me. Much better than reading 24 papers on the same short story, for example. So have fun with it. Enjoy. If you've got any questions, obviously, make sure you reach out, and I will hopefully get you pointed in a good direction. All right, everybody, take care. Happy week 9. I will see you next Monday.